A team of destiny, the moniker given to their opponent. The Seminoles turned that into the proverbial sign of disrespect, as if somehow, even if a team couldn't conquer them, divine intervention would. Defiantly, they vowed to stare down Destiny's darlings and write their own script. Why, they reasoned, do you even bother to practice if destiny is against you? They bristled at every doubter, exaggerated every slight, and convinced themselves that no one believed in them. But the truth is, the Seminoles just embraced their own destiny, a destiny of dominance. They set the stage by allowing no one to stay closer than 2 touchdowns in the regular season. Florida State hadn't trailed in more than 9.5 hours of playing time coming into the title tilt. All that was left to write was the final chapter in a season of dominance. That chapter seemed far-fetched in the preseason. After all, the Seminoles had lost 11 draft picks, had to replace 6 coaches. But what the Noles might have lacked in starting experience, they more than compensated for with pure skill.
Florida State, if we gonna do it then,
we do it big.
Invigorated by a transcendent redshirt freshman who evaded the rush, escaped trouble on and off the field, and eviscerated defenses with uncanny precision, the Noles began to feel invincible. Jameis Winston moved the football while Jimbo Fisher moved pieces. A dormant talent morphed into a dominant freak. A hard-hitting safety turned out to be more fierce, exploding into space as a running back. And when a linebacker put his hand in the dirt, the defense transformed into a blinding band of ill-tempered ball hawks. It all fit together to build a juggernaut. Over the last 7 years, the rest of college football developed a severe case of SEC fatigue. Florida State didn't waste time resenting the SEC's trophy case full of crystal footballs. The Seminoles plotted to take one of their own. They believed that they would be the group to restore Florida State to glory. While many outside the SEC might thank the Noles for quieting the SEC bravado, that might not last long. The start of the BCS era, it was the Seminoles who defined excellence, bullied opponents, and regularly made the championship game. And as the curtain drops on the BCS era, Florida State is finally back. Destiny fulfilled, this team of Seminoles unconquered.
Reese Davis, Tallahassee Democrat, champions again, 93 with Charlie Ward, Heisman House, 99 Chris Wenke, Heisman House, and in 2014, Jameis Winston, Heisman.
NBA Magic and Clippers, second game since Chris Paul separated his shoulder. They lost to San Antonio Saturday. Magic beat them with Chris Paul earlier this season in Orlando, but we're going DeAndre Jordan, dunk face. And Glenn Davis is a part of the poster. Jordan, 14 points, 17 rebounds, and 8 blocks. Darren Collison filled in for Paul. He did his thing, 19 of his 21 points in the first half, also had 7 assists. But Matt Barnes going in transition. Up top for Blake Griffin. Griffin with another highlight to add to his reel. The Clippers get out and run. They win at 101 to 81. Griffin 16 points, 8 boards. More NBA coming your way on Wednesday. It's NBA Wednesday presented by State Farm. We got the Mavericks taking on the Spurs, who just beat the Clippers on Saturday. And then at 9:30 Eastern, the Suns, who are probably better than you think they are, against Timberwolves, who are back at 500. It's NBA Wednesday presented by State Farm.
Coming up, more post-game reaction from the BCS title game in Pasadena. Coach Fisher and the Heisman-winning quarterback on, oh, what a game.
Now the BCS era ends with a bang in this beautiful setting as the Seminoles march 80 yards in the closing minute 11 to wrestle away that crystal ball from the SEC after 7 consecutive titles for that league. And we're joined by Jimbo Fisher and Jameis Winston. Jimbo, first of all, you guys were known for fast starts and first-round knockouts. You really had to fight off the ropes, down 18 points in the second quarter. What was your message to the team at that point in uncharted territory for them?
Just go back to, we call it finding crumbs. Stay hungry, execute the play, and worry about the play involved. Don't become result-oriented, and that's what we were doing. We were trying to make too many big plays, trying to do too much, and not just play in the game, and we had to keep our poise. And then we were able to get the fake punt and change the momentum of the game back, and the score before half was critical.
That's a pretty gutsy fake punt. If that doesn't work, you're in real trouble.
Yeah, but I think that was the call of the game. I mean, you got to be bold sometimes. You guys needed something. You guys went down and scored. That made a big difference from a momentum standpoint.
I know you're proud of him 10 years ago, calling plays for LSU.
I'm proud of him.
And
I want everybody to know we're both from West Virginia. We grew up about 10 miles apart. So nobody in the Southeast knows that.
Well, this guy's from Alabama. And Jameis, take us through. Happy birthday, by the way. As you turn 20, it looked like, to be honest, you're a little rattled, uncomfortable at the beginning. Take us through the game and how you grew in confidence to be so poised and chilled at the end there.
Well, we've been there before. When we played Boston College, we were down 17-3 going to the second quarter.
Are you going to compare Boston College to being in this whole room?
Yeah, we won. We came back and won. So
okay.
We were down 17-3. So we were in that same situation. People say that we never been in that situation, but you forgot that in the second quarter we were down 17-3, and I said, guys, imagine like this about Boston College when we came back and we was on top.
Whatever the message was, it worked. We'll take you through that final drive. Trey Mason's touchdown run actually happened maybe too late for Auburn, but let's back up a little bit. We could have talked about this game for a long time. We would not have thought that Herman here, number 7, would take off.
He was the fastest kid in the country. He was inches from breaking one earlier in the game. This guy, when he touches the ball, is unbelievably dynamic, going to be a big-time player for us as a receiver and a returner. And this was an unbelievable play.
Whitfield, 5'7", 178 pounds.
Big-time play right here.
Here's the 49-yard pass to Rashad Green. Really got the last drive going.
Yeah. It was a slant route inside. Jameis timed it up perfect, hit it on the run. And on second and third down, I was thinking about running the football. I thought we could catch him off guard, we still had a timeout, and get the ball there. But we want to go to KB. Even when you cover him, you can't cover him.
Well, not in that situation.
You got him on a slow start. You trusted Benjamin, though, at the big moment, didn't you?
I did, and I actually trusted Rashad. I mean, Rashad, he's been on me the whole game. He was like, James, bounce back. We need you. And KB, I mean, the wide receiver stayed up the whole game.
With that last touchdown, the Noles offense became the one to score the most points in a season in history, breaking the record of 2008 Oklahoma team, which fell short in the championship game. I know you said that didn't matter. Forget the record. It's what it produced, that touchdown.
It is. But what that touchdown meant, it gives us a national championship. We'll take the record with it. That's not all bad, but it is good to do. But you want it within the context of the team. And I said this is the most unselfish football team I've ever been around. They do things for each other, and they worry about winning. When the records and the accolades come to them, it's just on top of what they do for the team.
Let's take a look at the comparison first half, second half, Jameis. What was going through your head in that break when you're in there after experiencing kind of a first half that you hadn't experienced all year? Look at the numbers, 14 and 20 after halftime for $175 in those 2 touchdowns.
Well, you know, we just had to get back in the groove. And what Coach Fisher always tells me is like, James, you'll never be bigger than the game. And in the first few halves, I mean, I was playing bigger than the game. I wasn't playing like myself. So I had to calm down and go back to James football, the way Coach Fisher taught me up on the whole year. And him and Coach Sanders was on me. This is the first time I was not yelled at through the whole first and second quarter. And I was like, wow. But it worked, and we came out. We came off with the win.
Pretty good 20th birthday present. You get a further birthday celebration planned after this one?
This is the most amazing birthday I ever had in my life. This is all I need right now.
Play action, fire wide open in the middle. What a play to come up with on third down. Jump ball, touchdown.
BCS gave us plenty of top plays, but there were other games and other plays. See which ones made our countdown. Monday's best coming up on SportsCenter's top plays. And, of course, more post-game coverage from Pasadena, how Florida State put the finishing touch on its unforgettable season. Cavaliers got rid of Andrew Bynum just in time to save some cash money. They sent Bynum and 3 future draft picks to the Bulls for Luol Deng. As a result, the Cavaliers have to pay only $6 million of Bynum's $12.5 million salary this season.
So I met Charlie Ward and Chris Wenke Monday at the Heisman House, and the former Florida State quarterbacks were confident that I'd be talking on SportsCenter about Jameis Winston winning a title in Pasadena and holding that football. He'd already joined him on the Heisman stage, and now he joins him on the national title stage. Chris Fowler, strike the pose.
Now, there's something about the setting of the Rose Bowl that's produced so many electric moments over the years. And in the BCS era, a couple of classic championship games, including the one that caps the 16-year run of the BCS. 3 lead changes in the last 5 minutes. Florida State trailing 18 down in the first half, trailing in the second half for the first time this season. It matches the smallest margin of victory in the BCS era. The Noles scoring 21 in the fourth quarter against the best fourth quarter team all season long. This is the first BCS Bowl that wasn't an upset. 16 years of these championship games in this era. Where does this game rank for you, David?
I think you got to put it in the top 5 for sure, and probably in the top 3. But I'll never forget, and I wasn't here, but I'll never forget the performance by Vince Young. I mean, it's one of the greatest performances against one of the greatest defenses we had seen in this place. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. I don't know who else you'd have on your list, but it's up there.
I think everybody starts with that game.
Yeah.
You know, it was the setting. It was who could beat USC. Chris and I did, about 15 different vignettes where we broke down USC 05 against the 68 Ohio State team. Who wins? And all Texas did is sit there and wait for their chance, and they capitalized. I think the Ohio State-Miami game was definitely up there, and then this one. I think those are your top 3 in the BCS era.
Now, under next year's system, both these teams would have had to win a semifinal game to set things up. Yeah. On New Year's Day, it's going to start here in the Rose Bowl. It's going to go to the Superdome. The 2 winners of the semifinal games on to Arlington, Texas, 11 days later. How is that going to change the pursuit of a championship? This long-awaited playoff, which a lot of us have waited for.
2 words: selection committee. That's going to be different. It's not just, boy, we're going to have 4 teams. It's going to be so much fun. Controversy. If you thought it was bad in the BCS era, imagine being on the selection committee this year. We know about Florida State and Auburn and Alabama. Who's 4 this year? Michigan State before the Bulls. Stanford, Baylor. It's going to get really, really nasty next year. My condolences to the selection committee. And wish
nasty in a good way.
In a good way. In a fun way.
I think it's going to be interesting because you have conference championships for some teams, for some leagues.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have the 4 teams.
They should all do it or
that
not
needs to be uniform. I agree. Yeah. But I also think the times cut down in between games, I think that makes a big difference. I think certain coaching staffs have an advantage because they're so accustomed to it.
Are these 2 teams going to be in the playoff, you think?
I think Florida State's got a great shot, obviously. That Auburn team is young.
Very young.
They're young. They're only going to get better. And a game like this can do wonders for that program taking a next step.
The BCS era began with the Noles losing to an SEC team. It concludes with the Noles dethroning the SEC as BCS champions. Bigger and better things to come, but a very sweet night to savor for the folks from Tallahassee, headed eastbound on I-10 with that crystal ball.
Hey, while you were busy watching Florida State's historic comeback in the BCS title game, we're busy looking for top plays. We found
Chris Frost, the sophomore, lowers the boom there. Breaks the daylight. Still going. Headed for the end zone. Touchdown.
Tuesday follows Super Monday. Hey, we got 2 big-time conference rivalry games. ESPN2 starts us off 7 Eastern. Baylor, Iowa State shifted over to ESPN. Ohio State, Michigan State. Check them out on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN.
This is Sportscenter Live from Los Angeles.
Now you can tell me how much you missed me.
Missed you a lot. I can't even, we don't have time, really.
We have time for SportsCenter's top plays. And here they come. Now, you remember Division III Grinnell College, Jack Taylor, kid who scored more than 100 points. He was out with a back injury for this game, but Patrick Mayer breaks the NCAA assist record. He had 37. Grinnell wins 164 to 144.
Real Madrid, and it must be Cristiano Ronaldo. Beats the defender, slides, go!
Number 8, Hyundai Tournament of Champions, Jason Duffner's Auburn Tigers.
There you go.
Came up a little short, but Duffner did not. 60-foot putt for Eagle. He finished 4 strokes behind the winner, Zach Johnson.
How about something on ice? Panthers, Canadians. Oh, David Desharnais skates faker. Right here. Fake, spin, red light district. Wow.
Jackets and Rangers in a shootout at number 6. Ryan Johansson makes about 6 moves right in front of Hendrik Lundqvist. And then finally commits to the backhand right over Lundqvist for the goal.
All right, Auburn, Florida State. Trey Mason.
Jackets won, by the way, 4-3 on that goal.
Yeah, Trey Mason. Tell me about his daddy.
Plug Master Mace from De La Soul.
Yeah.
And he's got Auburn 3 feet high and rising after this.
I'm telling you, his kid had soul, too. And does the Heisman pose. We got more from this game coming up.
Number 4, Magic and Clippers. Jamal Crawford to Matt Barnes. You know what's coming next. Blake Griffin. Lob City roll. But that wasn't the only top play from that game.
Yeah, turn it up to 11, Juice.
Davis. Rebound. Look out. Outlet to Jordan. He'll go to the hole.
DeAndre Jordan. Oh, dunk face.
And he took the contact from Big Baby, which ain't easy. Number 2 Stars and Islanders, John Tavares lifts the stick of Rich Peverly, leaving the puck in the near circle with Thomas Vanek. No-look pass to Tavares for the goal.
Number 1 sounds like BCS title.
Florida State's return man at the 10. Left side 20. Whitfield's got a seams at the 30. Whitfield, my God, he's at the 40. Midfield down the sideline. One man chasing. He's gone. 20, 10, touchdown, FSU.
Well, coach pulled a muscle on Levante Whitfield's 100-yard dash there. Look at him go. Go, 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 go. What a play. What a game. Congratulations, Florida State.
ESPN went next level for the BCS title game. The BCS Megacast, all angles, special guests on every ESPN channel. Even Neil on the Ocho.
Shocking for me. A little bit of trickery.
It's hard.
Oh, there's nothing like that.
You like that horse? He's a good player.
A perfect ending to an imperfect system. The final performance of the BCS era. Fire wide open in the middle. A 50-yard strike.
What about a fake punt here, you know? There it is. I told you.
Touchdown, Florida State. Remember what it came off. Green ahead, headed for the end zone. A 100-yard return. And Auburn is stung by its own medicine.
He breaks free. Auburn, touchdown. Trey Mason.
Not quite yet out of miracles.
It's caught. It's caught. It's caught.
Florida State rules the BCS.
We champions. We can say that we are champions together.
They didn't show you on the Ocho doing analysis in the hula skirt.
Come on.
16th and final season of the Bowl Championship Series. Let's look back at some of the history. Oklahoma spent the most total weeks ranked number 1, 20. Tennessee, the first ever BCS champ, but Alabama had the most title wins with 3. Remember, next season, 14 playoffs, so goodbye, BCS.
NFL playoffs. Steve Smith says he's going to go Sunday against San Francisco. That's not the same as saying you're good to go. Carolina's top dog receiver nursing a sprained knee as the underdog Panthers prepare for their home game against the 49ers.
I did a good job today, and so we're going to see how tomorrow goes, and I'll be practicing Wednesday. And every day get better. Just got to build up that muscle memory. Had that fluid. The injury, it caused some kind of trauma in there, so just trying to work through that. And I think I should be fine for Sunday, though. I give it a 60-40 shot.
60 to the good.
60 to the good, 40 to the bad.
Numberfire.com makes projections based on math. Broncos, Seahawks, Panthers, and Saints with the best chance to get to Super Bowl 48.
I'm not real big on projections. Can't win on the road. Can't win in cold weather. Huh? What? Who that?
This is Sportscenter.
What a night in Pasadena. Jameis Winston and Florida State in a historic national championship game comeback. The BCS goes out with a bang. Is it too early to talk about the new college football playoff? No! Plus, while you were busy watching the Florida State-Auburn game, you missed a ton of other top plays. You'll see them on SportsCenter. Right now.
Florida State rules the BCS.
Good football play all the way around. Yeah. This is the most amazing birthday I ever had in my life. This is all I need right now.
How's it? Welcome to SportsCenter from Los Angeles. Alongside Stan Verrett, I'm Neil Everett. When criticizing the BCS, and we've all done that, let's remember the going-away gift it gave college football fans on Monday.
Yeah, what a game. It was the kind of game that left you wanting more, even though it had it all. Chris Fowler anchors our coverage of the championship game from Pasadena.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the BCS era ends with a final furious 5 minutes as the Noles grab the lead, grab the crystal ball, and end the SEC streak of 7 BCS championships. This team that was known for quick knockouts had to come off the ropes big time, down 18 points in the second quarter, and finally reclaiming the lead with 13 seconds to go. David Pollack, Herb Street, and of course Nick Saban alongside here. So much to talk about. Let's relive the fourth quarter. And there were lead changes. This is a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by a freshman Kermit Whitfield from Orlando, the fastest guy on the team.
Well, he has tremendous speed, and he took advantage of a big opportunity. Some great blocking by Chad Abram, Carlos Williams, but also a couple guys get out of their lanes. One guy looked like he might have blown a hamstring. Another guy moved from the right into the middle for whatever reason. Boy, it opened it up big for Whitfield.
Knowles hadn't led all night, but back came the Auburn offense after Jimbo Fisher almost pulled a hamstring running down there. Trey Mason was so tough in the fourth quarter.
Well, I tell you what, he made some great runs. I have a tremendous amount of respect for this guy. He is a tough competitor and really hard to tackle.
It gave Auburn the lead back, but it gave Winston just enough time. This was a huge play, 49-yard play, a catch and a run to Green.
So big to get that positive play out of the gates, get that first down in a 2-minute drill, especially when you pick up 40+.
On 3rd and 8, a pass interference. Chris Davis, the hero against Alabama with the return. An obvious call set up the Knowles at the 2-yard line.
Green had been the go-to guy. They take advantage of it. He gets the ball up in the air to Benjamin. That's an unstoppable play for Jameis Winston.
A 6'5" receiver who got out to a slow start just like Jameis Winston did. They struggled all night on 3rd down, confused by the Auburn front, but the Heisman quarterback 6 of 7 on the final drive, finishes with a couple of touchdown passes. Freeman, some tough hard-earned yards, and Trey Mason, heroic, a $195 on 34 carries in a losing effort. Here's Jimbo Fisher.
I'm going to tell you something. I said this from day one at spring ball. These kids are special. This group never faltered. They wanted to be elite. They wanted to go to the top, and there is so much character in this group.
You know, it was went back and forth, a lot of little plays, you know, swung, but you got to give them guys credit. They drove the field. They scored towards the end and found a way to win.
I said, guys, we didn't come here for no reason. I said, guys, this is ours, man. This is all the adversity we went through. The first few quarters, it was ours to take. And like I've been saying, we control our own destiny. And those men looked me in my eye and they said, we got this, Jameis.
Well, Jameis Winston didn't look himself, David. He looked rattled and confused as the guys up front were, but he found his way and give credit to a team that hadn't been down 21-3 to a good team. Keep it together.
To a really good team. The vernacular or the talking we might be talking about right now would be the greatest team of all time if they dominated Auburn. But when you look at this ball game, I think we talked about Auburn's pass defense. Could they hold up against the explosive offense, playmakers on the outside? Could they hold up? They didn't in the most important time in the game. They give up that score with a minute and change left, and that's what decided the ball game.
Well, I think this was a great football game, and both teams deserve a lot of credit for the way they competed in the game. But to me, Florida State won this game because they overcame adversity in the game better than Auburn did. Because early in the game, I didn't even like the body language that Florida State had, and Auburn really had pep in their step, and they dominated the first half of this game. And for Florida State to keep their poise and be able to come back in this game and overcome that kind of adversity really says a lot about their competitive character, and that's why they won. And you need great competitive character to win a championship.
It was the final chapter. We wanted to see Florida State challenge, and that's what we got. I think if there's a lasting memory for me, it's that Auburn came into this game incredibly well prepared, did a great job of frustrating the Heisman Trophy winner, Jameis Winston. But as Coach just said, Jameis Winston met that challenge. Jimbo Fisher met that challenge. Crucial call there on the 4th down punt, fake punt call. And then they got, I think, the offense going with the way they were able to get the ball out of the hands quickly of Winston. Rashad Green had a big night. But as you said, 10 years from now, we're going to remember Florida State, a team that had averaged, 42 points with every victory, got challenged and answered the call.
And a team overcome that had a great competitive character all season long. Auburn had been the best team in these one possession, these tight games. Knowles had no experience, and yet Florida State was able to get it done. Well, the sunset over this Rose Bowl, a great scene. The first time either team had played in this stadium. And as Nick said, Malzahn came out and had his pep in his step. Excellent preparation. They took command early on, and this is a pregame ritual. Jameis Winston and the son, Trey, of Jimbo Fisher. But Mason and Marshall had been fueled as a double-digit underdogs. They came out quickly.
This is off of a timeout. They had a wide-open receiver downfield, and he just missed him. It was a blown coverage by Florida State. Ricardo Lewis gets behind. They would come back to that play later to Melvin Ray.
Here's Winston. A big play. They get down in the red zone, but they got pushed back on a sack and had to settle for 3 after this big game.
And you saw a lot of Auburn's corners slipping early in the ball game, and you saw some open plays on the outside, but This offense started real sluggish. You see Jameis got pressured a little bit, eyes coming down, trying to scramble, and Auburn was flying around as a defensive front.
Auburn controlled the field position in this game. Now they punt Florida State, down to the 1-yard line. I thought he might go for it, but the decision by Malzahn proved to be beautiful after Clark hit this little sand wedge. They knocked it dead. Knowles went 3 and out.
Yeah, not only is that big to pin them, it gives your defense that's playing with a lot of confidence a chance to get after Jameis Winston. The corners were all over these Florida State wide receivers, and now the Noles have to punt from the back of their own end zone to set up great opportunity for Nick Marshall.
It's a low kick, and Davis runs all the way to the 25-yard line.
Davis does a great job of returning. He's a great return man. So they set up great field position, and, Auburn's going to capitalize and score a touchdown here.
Mason wide open again. He was untouched into the end zone.
Yeah, it had a double screen called on. Not the right call as far as the defense. Coach, you talked about that earlier. Gus Malzahn goes the right time with a little slip screen to get those 2 big linemen led by Greg Robinson out front.
And that's one of the most dominant players on Auburn's offensive line. Greg Robinson does a great job, great athlete, getting to the second level and finishing.
So Fisher's team trails for the first time since Avera's 7-3 there. Big gaps in the Florida State secondary as they sold out to stop the run, and some easy throws for Marshall.
Right, well, they had a pressure on here, and they were trying to play, a trap zone. Nobody down the middle. Linebackers got to carry the guy down the middle off a rocket sweep. Tough.
And Coach, this offense affects the eyes and the discipline of a defense every single snap. Look at the linebackers from Florida State, not just the safety. The linebackers, all of a sudden, you get caught up in Trey Mason running inside. Nick Marshall running outside. There's a lot to worry about, and next thing you know, they slip behind him again with a wide-open wide receiver.
It's Melvin Ray with a touchdown. Then the problems, David, up front, in front of number 5, continued. He fumbled in this play.
No, and you see Jameis again. He gets flustered from the pocket. Again, great pressure, beating the offensive line, and you see Auburn. They were rotating guys left and right up front, still able to come through and make a big play.
So Auburn once again a short field. Ball to 27, and on 3rd and 2, it's Marshall with the keeper.
And there's that second phase that you have to worry about. Trey Mason's effective in the middle, and when Mason gets going, it sets this up. You'll see both the H-backs lead him around. Look at the confusion here. This was kind of a theme in the first half. What, me? Out? You? Who? Okay. Now Ronald Darby, okay, I'm going to hustle back to the other side, and while that's going on, Gus Malzahn saying, let's go, snap the ball. They get exactly what they want. They outflank him, and the speed to the corner.
Well, when they do these wishbone formations, the inverted bone with the pistol set with 2 blockers in the backfield as well as the pistol back, you get outflanked, man. You have really got to hold the edges on those formations.
So down 21-3, 4th and 4. Here's the fake punt. Williams around the end. You think this is the call on the play of the game?
A turning point in the game. It's not just to keep the drive alive. It got the crowd all of a sudden. It had a different feel in the stadium, and Winston capitalizes on it.
And it was his feet from then on the rest of the drive in. I mean, they ran a quarterback run design play. Then you see the scrambling, playing off schedule, buying time, and making a huge play down the field. A must-score situation before the half.
This is the Heisman stiff arm here?
Yeah, a little stiff arm here, and a little shake and bake out in the open field, which is rare for the 6'4", 230-pounder.
Finally, the Noles would find the end zone. 1st and goal, Devontae Freeman. Freeman muscles in there. It's 21-10, only down 11 at the half.
It's just amazing how a fake punt can change things, because they were still around midfield. They still had to go 50 yards for an offense that hadn't done anything in the first half, but it changes the confidence level of the offense.
I really think the energy and enthusiasm of Florida State's team changed after that play, and I think that was the difference in the game.
First possession, second half, it didn't slow Auburn down any. I mean, they came out right away, moving guys around, just showing one thing, blitzing. Look, I mean, hey, we don't have confidence in our secondary. They're terrible, right? That's man coverage on an island.
And he's walking. He's stride for stride with him. They brought one more than they could handle, and you try to go for the big play down the sideline. They just weren't getting separation from those corners from Auburn.
You thought the first couple possessions, if they weren't productive, they could be in trouble. But the Noles defense was stepping out. Then they began to get the ball out of Winston's hands a lot quicker.
I think that's what they had to do. Jameis Winston getting him back quicker. These underneath routes, the receivers can do some things after the catch, and it puts a lot more stress on the defense, and it gets the quarterback into a rhythm.
I also think these stack bunch routes that Jimbo sort of implemented, later in the game, gave him quicker reads and got the ball out of his hands more quickly.
And Benjamin, look at this tough catch. Big man going down low to get it.
When we talked about him being a matchup nightmare with his size, but you know, they also ran the ball better, Chris. I think that's one thing that really helped them is they decided to stick with it a little bit better. And then Jameis did more of this, more creating. Can he get it?
No, he didn't get it. They had to settle for a field goal here, so it's still an 8-point margin. That was a big stop for Auburn's defense to try to slow down the momentum shift a little bit. There's that 8-point game, and they continue just forward with the monster up front.
You get 3rd and 6, and you put these defensive ends where they pin their ears back. It's tough on any set of offensive tackles.
And they do a really good job of running games inside too. And if your offensive line, boy, is not just really, really good at passing off those things, they do a great job of penetrating and affecting the quarterback.
All Malzahn wanted to get into the 4th quarter. Now we had an 8-point lead going into the 4th quarter.
First mistake from Nick Marshall. Forces it into coverage. Great job of going up to get it from Williams. LaMarcus Joyner picks up the fumble, or that would have been a disaster. But Nick Marshall, that's one. Of all the throws he made, that's a throw he'd love to have back.
They're playing over and under coverage here. Cover 2, too deep. Corner in the flat. Sinks. Corner sinks. You got to throw the ball underneath. You can't try to fit it in there. 2 guys could have made the play on that play.
Look at the body language difference. You see the eyes of Winston right there. Now they begin to run the ball. Auburn's defense on his heels.
And what's crazy is the 4th quarter, that's all we heard is Auburn wanted to try to get the game to the 4th quarter because they're familiar with that and they want to win the game. Now Benjamin's getting involved. It's not just Rashad Green.
But I think what happened here, because Florida State was able to control the tempo of this game on offense, Auburn didn't have the ball all the time to wear Florida State out.
Or get in a rhythm.
Here's that slant where Chris Davis, the corner, goes with Rashad Green. The safety's late in getting out to Abram. There's no way you can stop the big fullback.
So they're down 2. They got to go for 2 in the tie, right? Personal foul, dead ball after the touchdown. Takes Jimbo out of position to tie the game. They got to kick the extra point. Are you kidding me, Devontae Freeman?
These are the kind of things that make you wonder why you're a coach. Critical game, national championship, touchdown, going to go for 2.
Taunting the sideline.
And the guy's taunting the sideline, making an emotional, crazy decision that really impacts his team in a negative way.
It's early in the 4th, but you wondered if that 1 point would prove crucial. So Auburn back to work, and the lead's just 1 point. Here's a beautiful throw. Shook the interception off.
Beautiful throw. This offense hadn't done anything up until this point. Our FSU gets back in the game. They get the running game going. They got some play action. They ran some draws.
How much of a warrior is Mason? I mean,
he's so battle-tested. But, Chris, this is where you get near 80 snaps. They started to run into the interior of Florida State's defense, and then Nick Marshall, just reminding you, if you worry too much about the interior, there's Timmy Jernigan, the All-American defensive tackle. He's spent. He's done. He's gassed. Nick Marshall takes advantage of it.
Big stop here on the bootleg, though. I mean, you know, to hold them to a field goal right here and keep this just a 4-point game was huge for Florida State.
Yep, so it's 24-20. All right, Nick, now for the kickoff that followed the Auburn field goal. The freshman, 5'7", Kermit Whitfield, fastest guy on the team, just blasts down a lane and down the sideline.
It's unbelievable. This was my X factor in the ball game. Really thought he'd come up huge.
Yeah,
no, I mean, unbelievable. Special teams play again. We saw the fake punt create momentum. Now you grab the lead back just when Auburn had went down and scored.
The more times you watch this, though,
look him.
The more times you wonder.
Look at number 3.
Look at number 3's hamstring go out on him.
Right. But where's 33?
33 goes to the middle for some reason.
6 pokes his head inside too. That's
gets 2 blocks is really all he needed. Now remember, he's averaging about 32 yards a return this year on about 12
Is that good?
Yeah,
he's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That was his 2nd touchdown of the season, but still a pretty unlikely hero. And Jimbo Fisher, he didn't run a 4.3 40, but he was hustling down the sidelines watching his return.
This is a great shot. He's looking at him. He's got a crease.
Yeah,
He's got a crease. Go, baby, go.
He was excited. He didn't have to call any plays. He's good.
You got to give credit to Auburn. They've led throughout. They led at 1 point by 18. Now suddenly, after that play, they're behind. The offense, Marshall and Mason just go right back to work.
And this is familiar territory for Nick Marshall, but this on 3rd and 11, because those first 2 plays were not good. The Noles were pinning their ears back coming after Nick Marshall. Steps up huge there and finds Sammy Coates.
And what are you saying? They've done it all year long. Close games. They've found a way to make it happen. You know it's going to happen again, right?
Here's Jernigan struggling. Whether this just get rest or a real injury, we don't know. But Marshall and Mason had them on their heels, and Coates across the middle. Now they're suddenly inside the 35.
Yeah, Sammy Coates came up big. When they needed to make a play through the air, he was getting separation. And, you know, he and Marshall just seemed to be in sync. But it's the run of the game.
No question. This guy is a great competitor, great power, great change of direction, balance, and body control for a runner. Can run behind his pads, hard to tackle. I'm telling you,
Coach,
this guy is the heart and soul of this team right here, this number 21.
Look at the right side of the offensive line. Of course, he runs over Jalen Ramsey, but the right side of the offensive line, everybody fit perfectly to open that up.
A little bit reminiscent of the Tigers' drive led to a field goal to beat Oregon in 2010, but they left Winston a $119 from his 20-yard line with 2 timeouts to work. This was a huge play. Green for 49.
And that's the play. You got 2 Auburn guys right there in position to bat the ball down, or at least tackle him. Green does a good job. Look at that. First of all, it's a great throw in a tight window.
And they had leveraged the football so well against the pass game. And the fact he split 2 defenders, not just he makes the catch, he's been doing that all year, but Auburn played so well, but that was a costly mistake there.
You have to break on the reception area, though, so that you can make the tackle, and that was the error by those 2 players.
And let that clock run. It's your friend.
Center won't snap it, and they get a delay of game, which backs them up 5 yards. Then it's a pass interference call on Chris Davis, who had that heroic return against Bama. Good call here, sets them up at the 2.
And that's 3rd and 8, and you've got a 4-point lead.
It's really tough coverage, though. When you play middle of the field, man-free coverage, bump and run down on the inside the 10-yard line on the red zone, really difficult. Because you want to cut them at the goal line, otherwise they just come back and get the ball on you. He hooked them there, and they got the penalty.
How about the assignment for Davis, having to cover Big Benjamin, and the high point 6'5" receiver gets it.
Yes. Who wants that assignment?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's signing up for that one?
That's why the heavyweights don't fight the lightweights in boxing, because that guy's too big, and that's a physical mismatch right there.
No doubt about it. He's 6'5". You think they got a timeout, are they going to run the ball, a little flash of the play action, but of course just go up and over, and the big fella makes the catch. This is a mismatch.
You got to worry about the fade because he's so big and they throw it so often, but then he runs a slant on you.
Nick was saying, are you telling me this guy's not considered a first-round prospect with that kind of
I mean, I was a little surprised by that.
6 of 7 for Winston on the final drive. But did the Tigers, who relied on a couple of miracles and some tremendous plays under pressure, have one left? Well, as the clock ticks down, they start to lateral the ball around. This is going to get to Mason with the wall here on the near side.
This scared me.
I thought he'd stay down the sideline.
He stayed down the sidelines. I'm thinking he's got a wall here. What a well-designed play.
Yeah.
You know, everybody thinks that play against us happened by that was a design play too. Everybody went to their sidelines and blocked 2 guys, and you got a chance.
Yeah.
So the first halftime deficit made up in the history of the BCS championship game, the biggest comeback during at any point any BCS championship game. Jameis Winston did not fumble that crystal ball, which is the final time that trophy is going to be handed out. When they go to a playoff, they go to a new trophy, and the Noles have another prize in the trophy case. A first national title as a head coach for Jimbo Fisher, who won one as an assistant under Nick.
It's the best football game he played all year. And I tell you why. Because for 3 quarters, he was up and down. And he fought, and he fought. And just like any great player, some nights you don't have it. When you can go back, and you like the great ones do. It's not my night, but we got a chance to win this ball game. It's in the 4th quarter. I got 1 or 2 touches left, and you can take your team down the field and lead them to victory. That's what a great player is to me. Because anybody can do it when it's their A-game night. A lot of guys can do that. Very few can do it when it's not their night. And to pull it out in the atmosphere and environment, and with what was on the line tonight, to me, if that's not a great player, I don't know what one is.
I was ready. I wanted to be in that situation because that's what great quarterbacks do. That's what the Tom Brady's, Peyton Manning's, Drew Brees, Cam Newton, that's what they do. I mean, any quarterback can go out there and perform when he's up 50-0 in the 2nd quarter. I mean, that's what you're judged by, especially about your teammates. I'm pretty sure I got more respect for my teammates and the people around me on that last drive than I got the whole year.
Interesting comment. You would have thought they fully respected what he'd done, but we get the point. It's what you do in the clutch, and after struggling in the first 10 drives, just 11 for 25, sacked 4 times. Last couple drives, get the ball out quickly, got better protection. 9 of 10 for a $117. And Gus Malzahn coming up just short in his bid to win the SEC's 8th consecutive BCS title.
I'm very proud of my team. I'm proud of these guys beside me, how far they've come from the very first game to getting here and just being on the brink of winning the whole thing. I'm very proud of them.
I apologize to the Auburn family and the rest of the fans that we didn't finish. We didn't finish what we started. You know, right now, I just feel like I let the whole Auburn family down.
Why do you feel you let them down? You Heisman Trophy finalist, broke Bo Jackson's record tonight.
Because we told them we'll have the biggest turnaround in college football, and the biggest turnaround would be winning that crystal ball.
And a valiant effort by Auburn. They just came up a few seconds short after winning so many clutch games. What's the takeaway for you from this one, Nick? Whether it's Winston, whether it's the boldness of Fisher's fake punt call, what's going to be your lasting memory?
Well, I think that I always respect coaches who make critical decisions at a critical time in a game that have a tremendous impact on the game. And I think the fake punt call by Jimbo did that in this game. Changed the momentum for his team, got his team back in the game. They made a lot of plays after that, but I don't think if that doesn't work out for them right there and he doesn't make that call, I don't know if they ever really get back into it.
What if they don't make the first down and they're down 21-3, deep trouble?
But he sensed that he needed something.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
we're waiting for the defense maybe to make a play, but he took the matter into his own hands. So, Coach, I think that's a turning point in the game. It changed the stadium around, too, and it got Florida State to believe that they could win. But I think I agree with Jimbo Fisher. We've watched Jameis Winston perform when they're up by 42 and everything's going right in the ACC. This Auburn team was punching him in the mouth, dominating his own offensive line. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't protect. Nothing was going right. And he answered it. He stayed in there and he battled through it. And I think that's what his legacy will be in this game and for this season, remembering this final chapter in Game 14.
And you speak about legacy. I think this is the start for Jimbo Fisher. The way he's been able to recruit, the type of players he has on his team already, the coaching staff. Remember, he brought in 6 new guys this past season to come in. The staff he's assembled, the players. This isn't the last time you're going to see Jimbo Fisher in this position to be able to compete for a championship and win championships.
No doubt.
Well, there's one other thing, though. When you have success, there's another challenge. Getting people to be able to deal with success and still want to be successful.
Yeah.
Because complacency is very, very difficult in any organization, and it's human nature. All
You're
right,
so good. You're so great.
You know, this is going to be a challenge for their team, you know, at some point in time in the future. And I think Jimbo's been there before because he's been on a lot of successful teams.
Yeah.
But that's going to be the challenge for this team.
No doubt.
You know well about that, but it's a happy challenge. It's a good problem to have, dealing with success, dealing with the championship. Jimbo Fisher, the big names like Jameis Winston, guys like Kermit Whitfield you probably haven't heard of. It was a complete team victory, offense, defense, and special teams. And the crystal ball headed back to Tallahassee. A trophy now will be retired. Stan?
All right, Chris, thanks a lot. A game that great deserves to be seen from more than just the traditional angles. Thanks to the ESPN MegaCast, you can see it like you may have never seen a game before.
The final performance of the BCS era. Drops it off to Mason. End zone, our first touchdown.
This is what about a fake punt here, you know?
A fake. And they bring an end around off of it.
I think that was a great last drive by Jameis.
30, 40, daylight. Green ahead. Touchdown, Florida State. End zone, touchdown, Auburn.
Lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin.
Florida State rules the BCS.
Welcome back to SportsCenter Live from Los Angeles.
All right, you can tell me how much you missed me later. I got a question for you. Auburn, Florida State, or Texas, USC? Greatest championship game ever.
Wow, you know, I'm going to go Texas USC because I'm old school and I'm still numb over what I just saw between Auburn and Florida.
A perfect ending to an imperfect system. The final performance of the BCS era. Fire wide open in the middle. A 50-yard strike.
What about a fake punt here, you know?
There it is. Touchdown, Florida State. Remember what it came off. Green ahead, headed for the end zone. A 100-yard return. And Auburn is stung by its own medicine.
He breaks free. Auburn touchdown. Trey Mason.
Not quite yet out of miracles.
Pass on the other. It's caught. It's caught. It's caught.
Florida State rules the BCS.
We champions. We can say that we are champions together.
For 16 years, we had the BCS. Here's a look at some of the history of Oklahoma. Most weeks at number 1. With 20, Tennessee, the first ever BCS champ. Alabama had the most title wins, though. Remember, next season, it's a 14 playoff.
We have a fresh Sports Center coming up, right, from Bristol?
Yes, we do.
We have set the bar on coverage of the BCS title game. You're not jumping over it.
Well, a new champion has been crowned as we welcome you to a fresh live Sports Center alongside Kevin Nagandi. I'm Hannah Storm. You're going to hear from 10 experts, including Robert Smith, live in our studio, talking about the Seminoles' supremacy and how they got there in the end. Also, we have huge breaking news regarding the Olympics in just a moment.
Plus, the Andrew Bynum experiment with the Cavaliers over. George Karl joins us live to explain the impact of a deal with the Bulls and if the embattled big man will now end up potentially in Miami, maybe even in L.A.
Wow. We're
right now.
getting ahead of ourselves.
Florida State rules the BCS. Let's party, Tallahassee.
This is SportsCenter Live.
Party, no doubt, still going on. Florida State claiming its national title with a last-minute touchdown. Don't miss our unique spin on the highlights.
We champions. We can say that we are champions together.
All right, so that Colts comeback, that's in the rear view. Straight ahead, the Patriots. We have live reports from both teams ahead on their playoff preparation. And Herm Edwards live to examine home field disadvantage and which quarterback is poised to win on the road this weekend.
Breaking news this morning on SportsCenter. Lindsey Vonn will miss the Olympic Winter Games next month in Russia. An MRI showed an MCL sprain coupled with a torn ACL in her knee. Surgery expected soon for the American alpine ski racer. In a statement released earlier this month, Vonn said, "I am devastated to announce that I will not be able to compete in Sochi. I did everything I possibly could to somehow get strong enough to overcome having no ACL, but the reality is sunk in that my knee is just too unstable to compete at this level. I will be cheering for all of the Olympians, especially Team USA." XO Lindsey. With that, a good morning to Robert Smith. So after 16 years, the BCS on its way out with a playoff system coming next year. I know you have said that you're sad about that, but what a way to go out last night, right? An instant classic.
I don't know if sad is the right way to describe it, but I didn't beat up the BCS as much as a lot of people did, and I think a lot of people forget before the BCS system at the bowl games, you just picked a national champion after the bowl games. Well, at least we get 1 versus 2.
We got a gift last night. How about this? A game-winning drive from the Heisman winner. The highlight of the morning, taking us to Pasadena, number 1 versus number 2. Undefeated Florida State taking on number 2 Auburn. Jameis Winston, the birthday boy, turned 20 yesterday, doing his pregame ritual handshake with Jimbo Fisher's son, Trey. Here they come. Auburn ready to go, playing in those tight games, undefeated when it's 8 points or less. And Auburn, they came out firing, Robert. They did a great job in controlling the tempo, down 3-0. Trey Mason off the screen, getting some blocks, touchdown.
Yeah, they certainly did. I think the up-tempo offense that Gus Malzahn has and that Auburn has really tired that Florida State defense down.
Marshall wide open. How do you get that wide open in the secondary, Melvin Ray?
Well, first of all, you have to remember that the linebackers are reacting to play action. But in the secondary here, you can see a cornerback. He comes off of that outside receiver. The safety has to rotate over to cover the outside receiver. And because those linebackers had sucked up on the run, they're not back into the middle of the field. Wide open. Great throw by Nick Marshall there. But it all is set up by the play action, the danger of that Auburn run.
We all heard about it the last month. Florida State hadn't trailed since September 28th. Auburn also left some points on the board, off the board, to make that early on.
Yeah, no question about it. They had some opportunities to score. Nothing more clear right there, though, than the 33-yard missed field goal.
Jameis Winston, he was hit a lot last night.
He was hit a lot in that first half. Great job by the defense and defensive coordinator Ellis Johnson, really rattling him early in the game.
Yeah, he fumbles there. Marshall the fake, and he'll beat the defender there towards the pylon. 4-yard touchdown. Auburn simply dominant early, up 21-3. Gus Malzahn is feeling it. Jameis Winston wondering, okay, come on, I got to get going. FSU in an unfamiliar position at trail for the first time since September 28th at BC. Faced an 18-point deficit, its largest of the season. Winston sacked twice in the first quarter, had a QBR of 11, his lowest of the year, Hannah.
And he talked to his team at halftime, said, remember that Boston College game. We can come back. Pretty funny, invoking Boston College in the national championship game. But then they started to turn things around. This didn't look good at the start. Their win probability now 9.1%, lowest in a game this season. And Jimbo Fisher knew they had to swing the momentum at this point in the game.
We lost momentum of the game. It was 21-3. I knew with 5 minutes to go, if they got it back and scored, the game could be over right there before half. And I knew we had the ball coming out the second half, and we're here to win this thing. We weren't here just to show up and try to play well.
So, Robert, what does he do on 4th and 4, the call of the game?
It definitely was the call of the game. The only reason I knew it was coming was I was watching the coverage on ESPN News at the time, which we're going to see here in a second.
It's a fake punt. Carlos Williams gets the end around and rushes for the first down, as you were saying, my friend.
Wonder if this is a fake punt here, you know? This is a great area right here. Sometimes you got to turn. There it is. I told you. Oh, the reverse. He's got it. He got it.
The ESPN film room called it. Later in the drive, 3rd and 8, Winston avoiding pressure, stiff arms a defender, takes it down the sideline before being pushed out inside the 5. And, well, you got to take a look at this stiff arm. It was the exact same one as on the Heisman Trophy. Look at this.
maybe not the picture of beauty on the run, but unbelievable right there, getting the Heisman pose in. This is only a beautiful run if you're a fan of Sanford and Son. It kind of looked like Fred Sanford scooting along there. Not a picture of beauty, but he got the job done.
It gets her done. Devontae Freeman taking it in for 3 yards out for the touchdown. Starting to turn it around, cutting the lead to 21-10, heading into the locker room at halftime. And really coming out of the halftime, it was the defense that kept the momentum going. Marshall with the screen pass to Sammy Coates, but Coates can't make the catch. Auburn's forced to punt. Florida State starts to figure it out, and after a field goal, it's 21-13, 3rd and 5, and well, Marshall tries to hit Corey Grant, but it's short.
And this was the key, really. I mean, the defense for Florida State gassed in that first half. The up-tempo was getting them, but the up-tempo doesn't get you if it's 3 and out. Timmy Jernigan was a big part of that. Apparently, he was sick. Got really sick after the game.
Auburn hold on to that 8-point lead in the 4th quarter, and then on 2nd and 16, Nick Marshall, his big mistake there on that pass.
Poor decision, terribly executed. I mean, it wasn't, he was thrown into double coverage in the first place, but didn't get enough zip on that ball. Big mistake there by Nick Marshall, but a great job by the Florida State defense stepping in front of it.
P.J. Williams with the pick. LaMarcus Joyner recovers the fumble, and there they go on the drive. Chad Abram, 11 yards. Down 2 now, Florida State. He can maybe go for a 2-point conversion. But look, after the play, Devontae Freeman taunting the Auburn sideline, 15-yard penalty.
Boy, that was just a dumb play there by Devontae Freeman. Great player, nice young man. Had an opportunity to meet him last summer. But you just have to know better than that to go all the way over to the sideline or near the sideline like that.
Have to go with an extra point, 1-point game. And Auburn driving now, 3rd and 4. And Marshall throws high for Sammy Coates. They have to go for a field goal. Now, on the kick, Mike Tirico on the call to Florida State.
Coming down towards Kermit Whitfield. Takes it 2 yards deep. Florida State's return man at the check. Left side 20. Whitfield's got a seam. He's at the 30. Whitfield, Michael, he's at the 40. Midfield down the sideline. One man chasing. He's gone. 20, 10, touchdown, FSU. That's how they play when the game gets close.
Lane discipline there, Robert.
Lane discipline. I'll tell you what. What about Whitfield, though? Whitfield is a 10-2-8 100-meter guy. It looked like Jimbo Fisher was doing his best Devontae Whitfield impression there, running up the sideline.
Maybe doubling that time, but that's good for that man right there. Whitfield, first play with a 100-yard kickoff return touchdown in the BCS era in a title game. And then the defense, somehow Marshall gets out of it and converts on a 3rd and 11.
This was just an incredibly athletic play by Nick Marshall, avoiding the pressure, keeping his eyes downfield. But how about Trey Mason right here? The swings of emotion at the end of this game were just unbelievable. He gets the little spike and a quick Heisman pose at the camera. Thought that was it.
Here's what the actual Heisman winner had to say to his teammates before their next drive, because suddenly Mason putting them in a bind.
I said, guys, we didn't come here for no reason. I said, guys, this is ours, man. This is all the adversity we went through. The first few quarters, it was ours to take. And like I've been saying, we control our own destiny. And those men looked me in my eye and they said, we got this, Jameis.
Here it is, the drive. Florida State down 31-27. Just over a minute to go. The short passes they were working, and then Rashad Green breaking free.
And Rashad Green, really the receiver that Jameis Winston trusts more than any other. You can see he does a great job there, splitting the defenders, then the acceleration, getting upfield. Huge drive for Jameis Winston, though, going 6 for 7 after early struggles.
Connecting here on 2nd and 4 to Kenny Shaw. Auburn, they look worried there. 3rd and 8, 21 seconds left. Chris Davis, this was the right call. Pass interference on Green.
Yeah, no question about it. He contact early, basically tackles him before the ball gets there. I guess he knew it was going to be a touchdown, take the chance, and it ball goes automatically to the 2-yard line.
Here's how the next play sounded on the Knowles broadcast. Gene Deckerhoff.
Here's the snap. Winston rolling right. Throws the pass on the other. It's caught! It's caught! It's caught! Touchdown official!
Give it to the big man, Kelvin Benjamin working Davis. Size wins.
Size wins. You're talking about a 6'6" receiver. Even when he's covered, he's not covered. Jameis Winston knew exactly where to go with that football. Excellent job right there.
Hold on.
Don't want to drop that one.
The 20-year-old could smile now. What a finish. 34-31. The Seminoles' 3rd national championship. Auburn's first loss this season in a game decided by 8 points or fewer. They finished 6-1. Winston becomes the 3rd quarterback since 1950 to go undefeated with a national title and a Heisman Trophy all in the same season. The others, Matt Leinart and Cam Newton. After the game, Jimbo Fisher with our Heather Cox talking about what he saw early in 2013.
I'm going to tell you something. I said this from day one at spring ball. These kids are special. This group never faltered. They wanted to be elite. They wanted to go to the top. And there is so much character in this group.
Told them in the locker room, equaled the biggest turnaround in the history of college football, and they've been playing football for a long time. So there'll be a lot of great things and great memories. We were just on the brink of making it one of those magical seasons, but there's so many great things that we'll take.
I was ready. I wanted to be in that situation because that's what great quarterbacks do. That's what the Tom Brady's, Peyton Manning's, Drew Brees, Cam Newton, that's what they do. I mean, any quarterback can go out there and perform when he's up 50-0 in the second quarter. I mean, that's what you're judged by, especially about your teammates. I'm pretty sure I got more respect for my teammates and the people around me on that last drive than I got the whole year.
It's the best football game he played all year. And I tell you why. Because for 3 quarters, he was up and down. And he fought, and he fought. And just like any great player, some nights you don't have it. When you can go back, and you like the great ones do, it's not my night, but we got a chance to win this ball game. It's in the 4th quarter. I got 1 or 2 touches left, and you can take your team down the field and lead them to victory. That's what a great player is to me.
What a way to cap off an incredible season. Seminoles claw their way back into this game. They walk off the field with a 3-point win, tied for the smallest margin of victory in a BCS championship game, coming back from an 18-point deficit to win their 3rd national title, the largest deficit overcome to win a BCS championship. And for the first time all season, Florida State feeling what it was like to trail in the second half of a game. We mentioned that 17-3 deficit in the first half against Boston College, something that Jameis Winston talked to his teammates about when they got down in that game. Going 14-20, 175 yards and 2 touchdowns after halftime. How was he able to turn things around after a rough start?
Well, I think Jimbo Fisher really put this into perspective, and he was talking about Jameis Winston, how this was his best performance of the year, just because of the struggles that he had in that first half, really overcoming that adversity. But when I look at this, you have to give some of the credit here to Jimbo Fisher. You have to remember, like Gus Malzahn, he calls his own plays. In that second half, did a much better job getting the ball out of Jameis Winston's hand quickly. He knew that offensive line was struggling against this very physical, athletic defensive line for Auburn, so he started to make these quicker calls, get the ball out of his hands, build his confidence back up, but you have to credit the offensive line as well. We watched this offensive line grow up a couple years ago in the Champ Sports Bowl against Notre Dame. They were true freshmen then. They're juniors now, did an excellent job protecting Jameis Winston, but Jameis Winston did a tremendous job of delivering great balls. You can see right there the throw to Kelvin Benjamin, had to get that thing in there before the safety got over, and I think the poise that he displayed in this game after the adversity that he had struggled through in that first half just a perfect way to cap a perfect season for Jameis Winston, and really kind of was a microcosm of what we saw from him all year long. A guy that just kind of just ignored the pressure at the biggest moments. Certainly got rattled in the first half, but when he needed to the most, he stepped up and made the plays.
Strong leadership.
Yeah.
You know how we are, though. Let's look forward already.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. The 2014 as well as the 2015 bowl and the playoff system. Now, how is Florida State set up for 2014? Because James can come back. He's a redshirt freshman.
He has to come back. So he will be back. And they're my #1 team heading into next season. And let's not forget the job that Jimbo Fisher was able to do with this team. They lost 11 players to the draft last year, more than any other team in the country. They lost 6 assistant coaches. And he was somehow able to pull this all together. Somehow, how does he do it? He's done it through recruiting. They have got an excellent talent base on this team. They're only going to be losing a few players off that defense. Offensively, most of that line is going to be back intact. Of course, Jameis Winston's going to be back. Now, look, this all depends on some guys not turning pro. Some of those guys probably are going to turn pro. But I still think even if we have maybe 4 or 5 of those guys turn pro early, this is the #1 team in the country heading into next year. Jimbo Fisher has done a tremendous job recruiting great, fast, athletic players, and people hate to say it, you hate to hear it. First of all, 4 straight national championships by the state of Alabama. And it took an Alabama kid in Jameis Winston to win a national championship. I heard them talking about that.
From Alabama.
Right. I got 4 straight teams from Alabama and then a kid from Alabama. This is a team that is built as an SEC team, a very athletic, physical team all the way around, done a great job of recruiting, but a great job of developing talent as well. And he's got excellent coaches around him.
Boy, props to Gus Malzahn, too, for the kind of game that he called last night in that season. What a magical
You're talking about
season
not winning a conference game to getting to the national championship.
Could have been the biggest turnaround ever if they would have won. Amazing. Now we have to wait until August 30th, when Florida State will play Oklahoma State in the 2014 Cowboys Classic at Jerry's World. Robert Smith with us. You can tell we're all bumming.
Thanks, Robert.
You got it.
30, 40, daylight, green ahead. Got it, headed for the end zone. Touchdown, Florida State. And Auburn is stung by its own medicine.
Much more ahead on Florida State's national championship win, including a unique spin on the highlight you're not going to see anywhere else. And the Colts completed the second big playoff comeback in NFL history. Now they turn their attention to the Patriots. Live reports from both teams coming up on Sportscenter.
SportsCenter, brought to you by Burger King, where taste is king.
Florida State puts its dominating perfect record on the line against Destiny's darlings, the Auburn Tigers.
Coming up, see the Seminoles championship victory in a completely different way. Don't miss the game-changing moments covered from every unique angle ahead on SportsCenter.
This Saturday night, the Indianapolis Colts, coming off that wild one-point win over the Chiefs, travel to Foxborough to meet the AFC East champion Patriots, battling for a spot in the AFC title game. Andrew Luck, Tom Brady, and storylines galore in between. We have dual coverage of the upcoming playoff game. Bob Holtzman is with the Colts. He'll have a live report coming up in the show. But for now, we go to Michelle Steele with the Patriots because she is standing outside in 0-degree weather. So, Michelle, let's get right to it. The countdown has begun there in Foxborough. And the Colts defense, they allowed the Chiefs to score 44 points. Last season, the Patriots were able to drop 59 against that Colts defense. What's New England focusing on in regards to Indianapolis's defense?
You know, Hannah, to hear Tom Brady talk about it, he has singled out one guy in particular, and that's Colts defensive end Robert Mathis, who he essentially called the defensive player of the year. You know, he said on his radio interview yesterday that what Mathis can do is create a lot of havoc. So what the Pats need to figure out this week is how to slow him down and take a look at his stats. Brady is not joking about that Defensive Player of the Year praise. 8 forced fumbles, first in the league. His sack total is the most in a single season in franchise history. You know, Bill Belichick said the challenge with Mathis is simply finding him because he moves to various spots and has a lot of explosiveness, a lot of quickness. But as you mentioned, Hannah, the Colts D allowed 59 points the last time they played Brady and the Patriots in a 59-24 loss. So although Mathis has a lot of great qualities, certainly Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are looking at that defense and seeing some opportunities as well. Hannah.
Well, there were a couple of turnovers by the offense that helped contribute to that 59 points. Meanwhile, the Patriots, they just continue to suffer injuries. It's really remarkable. They've already lost, as you know, Vince Wilfork and Gerard Mayo. And then yesterday comes this announcement that they've lost another defender, Brandon Spikes. I know he'd been playing with a knee injury a lot of the season, but Michelle, why at this point is he going on IR?
You know, according to the latest reports, it looks like he might need surgery. Citing a league source, the Boston Globe is reporting that he'll likely need surgery at the end of this season, while the Boston Herald citing another source that he won't need surgery. Clearly, two different sources on that one. Remember, Brandon Spikes is in a contract year, so it's possible, it's entirely possible this is the last time that we've seen him in a Patriots uniform. Now, he did play all 16 games this season, but his production has gone down as of late. He had 50 tackles in the first 8 games of the year, just 36 in the last 8 games of the year. Look to Jamie Collins and to Dane Fletcher to get more snaps on defense. And by the way, going to the other side of the ball, we'll hear more from Tom Brady at 12:45 p.m. Eastern. Stay locked on to SportsCenter for that. Hannah, back over to you.
Michelle, please get inside, if just for a bit. And we'll talk to you later.
I like it like this. We're in New England. Come on.
That's right. She is tough, man. That's the definition of an intrepid reporter. Oh, yeah, girl. You go. Bye, Michelle.
You don't see she has heaters all around her.
No, she doesn't.
At this point, you've seen Florida State's last-minute touchdown to secure the national title. But the mega highlight, trust me, it delivers.
The final performance of the BCS era.
This is what about a fake punt here, you know?
A fake. And they bring it in to round off of it.
I think that was a great last drive by Jameis.
30, 40, daylight. Green ahead. Touchdown, Florida State.
And the Andrew Bynum experiment in Cleveland over. George Carl examines what it means for the embattled big man and if all roads now lead to South Florida.
On SportsCenter, skiing sensation Lindsey Vonn out of the Sochi Olympics with a right knee, leaving the Winter Games without one of its biggest stars. Vonn announced her decision this morning, exactly 1 month before the opening ceremony in Russia. Her publicist says she will have surgery shortly. Took home 2 medals in Vancouver, including the gold in the downhill. 4-time overall World Cup champ. Tore 2 ligaments in her right knee in February, and then that surgically repaired knee was injured again in a training crash in November. She's already the most successful American skier in history, was on pace to become the most accomplished female skier of all time. She won 16 discipline titles as part of those 4 World Cup championships. A huge blow to the U.S. team in Sochi.
Now, many of us followed last night's game on TV. I'm guilty of checking my timeline on Twitter using the remote.
Shocker.
Yeah. Here's the one thing. I could not stop going back and forth on our megacast.
You were doing this. You were doing that.
Get the iPad out as well, ESPN2, ESPN News, especially when the college coaches were breaking down real-time film. They called the fake punt before it happened on ESPN News.
Oh, that was very cool.
It was fantastic.
As we just showed in the highlight. So here, with all the bells and whistles, all the toys, is a mega highlight for a mega game, a classic covered every which way imaginable.
The final performance of the BCS era takes place in the venerable Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Number 1 versus number 2. Florida State puts its dominating perfect record on the line against Destiny's darlings, the Auburn Tigers.
Marshall awaits the shotgun snap. He has it. He's back to pass. Swings it to Mason. Left side 10. Mason with the 5. Into the end zone. Auburn touchdown.
Auburn leading Florida State 7-3. We open the second quarter.
Oh, wide open. Wide open. Wide open.
Biggest play of the game. Bam!
Here we go.
I'll see you guys later. I'm going to Trimmer's Corner.
He's trying to communicate it to bounce back. They've got one too many.
Yeah, but Kev, I mean, you just simple math. I mean, if they walk out, you have to
walk
help
out.
yourself.
That's not.
There's no doubt.
You got to walk out. And the other thing is, if you blitz, you have to blitz. They were caught and they slowed down their blitz, and you have to walk out. You have to cover down number 2 and number 3.
They're putting it back on Jameis.
Wow.
And he
Ball
flopped.
out.
In trouble. Fumble. Loose ball. Battle for it. Auburn says they've got it, and they do. Winston turns it over. It's a meltdown by the number 1 team in the country.
I was uncomfortable, but Auburn wasn't the cause of that. It was myself. It was me wanting to do too much instead of doing what I needed to do.
You're going to run away from him? No. Marshall keeps it as he did against Missouri, and he walks in. Who amongst you thought that Auburn could perhaps blow Florida State out? I don't know anybody.
You telling me it's over?
No, I'm just relaxing.
Okay, all right.
Oh, birthday present for Jameis Winston.
It was his birthday today.
Yeah.
It's his birthday today.
Make a bad time to have a bad game.
They had an unblocked guy. They had it covered schematically. You just, you got to execute under pressure.
And this time he will throw again. Dropped. So just when they get a receiver open, Green drops it on the cut, and that would have been a first down.
It's mistake after mistake after mistake, and you've got to give Auburn the credit for creating the intensity in this game and forcing these miscues by Florida State.
And Beatty punting.
Wonder if this is a what about a fake punt here? This is a great area. Sometimes you got to turn.
There it is.
I told you. Oh, the reverse.
He's got it.
He got it.
A fake. And they bring an end around off of it, and they're going to get a first down with Williams. So looking for something to happen, Jimbo Fisher whistles up the fake punt. And let's see if that gives his team a lift.
Aren't you surprised that they didn't keep their defense on that? I mean, you guys were all thinking fake. You guys are calling it out. I'm surprised they didn't play punt safe.
Winston out of the shotgun with 1:32 left in the half, and his team down 21-3. Takes the snap, gives to Freeman inside the 2, inside the 1, in the end zone. Florida State, touchdown. Sometimes when you go in the bag of tricks, you find the right one.
We're able to get the fake punt and change the momentum of the game back, and the score before half is critical.
That's a pretty gutsy fake punt. If that doesn't work, you're in real trouble.
Yeah, but I think that was the call of the game. I mean, you got to be bold sometimes. You guys needed something. You guys went down and scored. That made a big difference from a momentum standpoint.
Of course, I had the fake punt right there, and it cost a touchdown. But I like where we're at. Second half, we're going to try to wear them down.
Jimbo Fisher in the locker room was very upbeat, telling his team, this is what you're going to remember forever. Make sure it's going to be the way you want to remember it.
He's got it. He's back to pass. He's looking deep. He throws right side, and it is intercepted by the Noles, P.J. Williams.
The 26th interception of the year. This one by P.J. Williams. Huge in this game.
That could end up being the play. We'll have to see.
High, but Benjamin's there. First down at the 11-yard line.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Now it's getting crunch time. The playmakers are starting to make plays, guys.
Well, that's what happens, right?
The ball was,
You got to make your plays.
The ball was placed high where only Benjamin could get it. He threw it right over the underneath coverage, if you notice that.
Coach Chris, you said that coming out of halftime. You said when it comes down to it, somebody's got to make a play.
Florida State at the Auburn 11. You can sense the momentum building.
Winston going to put it up. Lays it off to Abram. Running for the end zone. Touchdown, Florida State.
solid. That's the whole key.
Oh, look at that.
The difference between that and what we saw in the first half, like night and day.
This is a big third down, deep in Florida State territory. The Noles are thinking, hold them to a field goal, get the ball back to Jameis Winston with 5 minutes to go, and let's go down and score a touchdown and win it. They do not want to give up a touchdown here.
Rolling to the right. Marshall fires, incomplete high. Through. And it is now a 4-point lead.
That's a win for the Noles to give Jameis Winston a shot to win this game.
If only Florida State had a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback on the sidelines waiting to come in.
Cody Parkey approaches the ball. End over end kick. Coming down towards Kermit Whitfield. He takes it 2 yards deep. Florida State's return man at the 10. Left side 20. Whitfield's got a seams at the 30. Whitfield, my God, he's at the 40. Whitfield down the sideline. One man chasing. He's gone. 20, 10, touchdown, FSU. And Florida State takes the lead. Kermit Whitfield goes the distance. That's how they play when the game gets close.
Great return man. 30, 40, daylight. Green ahead. Got it. Headed for the end zone. Whoa. Touchdown, Florida State. A 100-yard return. Mason steps outside right, breaks the daylight. Still going. End zone. Touchdown, Auburn. Not quite yet out of miracles. No. Throw it. End zone. Jump ball. Touchdown! Last play. Here comes the lateral. Hook and ladder. Give it back. Throw it across the field. And let's see if Mason can take it down the sideline. Cuts to the middle. Florida State rules the BCS.
Capped off a perfect season.
That's crazy. Look at him storming the field.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, look at that. National championship. Wow. What a game. Crystal ball. Look at this. What a feeling this is right here.
Look at these kids.
And the game is over. And for the third time, Florida State reigns supreme. The Seminoles have completed the perfect season. 14 games, 14 wins, and the 2013 National Championship.
There we go, from the high tech to the low tech, but certainly no less resonant of all of the emotions. The New York Daily News, Super Noles, the Miami Herald, famous finish, and in the Seminoles' hometown, the Tallahassee Democrat. Quite simply, perfect.
Well, that was going on. This went down in the NBA. Cavs moving Andrew Bynum's contract in time, trading him to the Bulls for Luol Deng before the deadline where the rest of Bynum's 2-year contract would be guaranteed. The Cavs also sent a first-round pick, 2 second-rounders. Deng can be a free agent after this season. Signability to a long-term deal in Chicago was a very big issue. Our coach, George Karl, joining us this morning. Coach, what does this deal tell you about where the Cavs and the Bulls are right now?
Well, a little bit. It tells me they might be going in different directions. I think Cleveland made a commitment. They've been struggling at the 3 position all year long with who to start. Clark started some games. G started some games. And I think you got a position now that you've got a all-star caliber player that plays both ends of the court, committed to winning more than probably being a stat guy, but he is a very solid to all-star type basketball player. And I think Cleveland is saying, we want to be good. We want to go into the playoffs. We want to make the playoffs this year. They're about 3.5 games out of the playoffs right now. I think if they start getting a good rhythm, they could move into maybe a 4th or 5th or 6th seed, which means you could win in the first round, which you could salvage a season and also maybe put a building block to the future of your team.
How about the Bulls here now, selling Deng now to save some money and also obviously rebuild here when you have Derrick Rose on the sidelines?
Well, I think they're in an interesting position. I think they've weakened their team. I don't think there's any question that taking Deng off that team now puts a lot of pressure upon them. I know they're going to sell the bill of goods, that they're going to try to make the playoffs. They're not going to throw it in. But I think this is a trade for the future. They're saving money, which is, I don't care how rich you are. When you save $20 million, you're usually a happy camper. But the other thing I think in the background is they're thinking about what is going to happen with this team. Where are they going to, how they're going to build a team. If Derrick Rose comes back healthy next year, will he stay when his contract is up? And you got Carlos Boozer, who's everybody's been rumoring he might be gone too. So I think you're in a situation that Chicago is thinking about what they're going to do in the future. I don't know if they have a plan right now, but this could be the beginning of building a plan.
Bulls save some money, as you mentioned, if they waive Bynum today, luxury tax, all that stuff. That's $20 million. Let's take a look at Andrew Bynum. Played 24 games this season, averaged 20 minutes per game. He missed all of last year. How much does he have left in the tank at 26?
Well, when I heard the trade, I thought Bynum, this is a trade maybe for Oklahoma City or the Miami Heat or an LA team that's trying to build for a playoff situation. I think right now Bynum is not playing at a very high level. I think he's a little bit out of shape. I think he's lost his enthusiasm to play the game of basketball. I think his intensity is up and down, which I think drives coaches crazy. But he could help a playoff basketball team. He is a type of team, a player that could go into Miami against the Indiana Pacers and have an effect on that game. In Oklahoma City, could he go down to Oklahoma City and be a factor down there? Even to the point of, a West Coast team, even though West Coast teams right now are fairly, I think, very dominant and very strong. I don't know they're going to look at it that much.
Bynum averaging 20 minutes and 8 points so far this season. George Karl, our coach, with us this morning.
Hot Topics is brought to you by Burger King, where taste is king.
All right, so coming up, we're going back to the NFL with Herm Edwards, talking about home field advantage. How important is it? And which road quarterback has the best chance to win? Coming up. And before Jameis Winston won the Heisman and the national title, he was under Herm's tutelage. The coach with his perspective next.
On Saturday night, first postseason meeting between the Patriots and Colts since the 2006 AFC title game. Tom Brady was there. Andrew Luck, a new addition. By the way, the Colts won that game in a thriller, 38-34. Colts are coming off their second biggest comeback in playoff history. We welcome in Bob Holtzman from Indy. And Bob, what is the Colts and this team, what are they saying about putting last week behind them and focusing on the Patriots?
Kevin, it's a big question. It's a valid question. The Colts know that how they respond, how they follow up what happened last week will be a huge focus this week. That last week's game was unbelievable. The computer simulations show that at one point the Colts had less than a 1% chance of winning. Here's what tight end Coby Fleener, who's a smart guy, already had to say this week about following up what happened last Sunday. He said, "I'll be able to write half of the stories that come out after our game against the Patriots. If we win, it's going to be we rode the wave of emotion. If we didn't, it was a letdown because of the emotional win last week." Probably true. Today, the Colts are back at practice. They'll start working on the Patriots. Despite the win last Saturday, there is plenty for this defense to work on, plenty to fix. 44 points, 513 yards, 30 first downs allowed to the Chiefs. All were season highs. Now they'll face a Patriots team that hung 59 on them last year. And the Colts have some injury issues on the back end of their defense. Cornerback Greg Toller, who's a starter, was placed on injured reserve this week, and starting safety LaRon Landry suffered a concussion in Saturday's game. He is listed, of course, as day-to-day. He's now in the NFL-mandated protocol this week, and whether or not he plays Saturday is still to be determined.
Other moves here now. A very interesting one by the Colts yesterday. They signed wide receiver Deion Branch, the Super Bowl 39 MVP, with the Patriots back then. What's behind this move?
Well, a couple of things, and I'm not sure it's as big a conspiracy theory as you'd probably think. First of all, this team needs a veteran wide receiver. Of course, Reggie Wayne is out with the ACL injury. Darius Hayward-Bay suffered a hamstring injury. He won't play this week. And you look at the roster, the rest of the Colts wide receivers are all either rookies or second-year players. And on top of that, Branch is a guy, he lives in suburban Indianapolis. He actually worked out for the Colts a couple of weeks ago, but certainly his knowledge of the Patriots does not hurt. With 4 days, though, just to prepare and learn this offense, It's hard to imagine Branch having a huge impact, but there is a wide receiver on this roster who is still having a big impact, and that's Wayne. Despite having not played since October, Reggie Wayne has still been here daily. He's still coming into work. He's still involved in the meetings. He's still talking to the younger players. Matt Hasselbeck said that Friday night, the night before the wild card game, Wayne actually spoke to this young offense about playoff football, explaining them what to expect. He's on the sideline during games. He's giving pep talk to players. Chuck Pagano said that this young wide receiver core owes a debt of gratitude to Wayne for what he's done for them this season. Speaking of Pagano, we'll be hearing from him. We'll be hearing from Andrew Luck and some other players of the Colts here live on SportsCenter a little later on today.
Wayne and Robert Mathis, two of the real leaders on this Indy team. Bob Holtzman joining us from Indy.
It's a meltdown by the #1 team in the country.
Florida State is clearly still on their heels.
You're playing for a national championship. There's a lot of pressure.
Whitfield's got a seams at the 30. He's gone!
Now the heat clearly on Auburn. Mason steps outside right, breaks the dayline. Touchdown, Auburn.
Remember that Heisman Trophy winner you were hoping Florida State had?
It's his time.
It's Benjamin! Florida State! Touchdown!
We champions. We can say that we are champions together.
They managed to close it out. Jameis Winston, just the third quarterback, sixth player overall since 1950 to win the Heisman Trophy, play for an undefeated team, win the national title, all in one glorious season. And keep in mind, this is a guy who turned 20 yesterday. He'll be back for another season as the Noles quarterback. Cannot declare for the NFL draft, and that is great news for the world of college football. And a guy who just might have seen it all coming is Herm Edwards, because you coached Jameis Winston in the Under Armour All-America football game in 2012. What did you see back then that might have portended what happened yesterday?
Well, the first thing you understand about this young man, there's 90 All-Americans. Obviously, he was one of the 90, but his leadership presence was outstanding in his football game, and also his ability to respond under pressure, and I thought that happened again last night. Poised when the game was on the line in the fourth quarter, he showed that, and in this game, actually, was the MVP. Threw 2 touchdown passes. He was, I believe, he was 8 for 9, 178 yards. And so you saw this as a young player and leaving high school, playing in an all-star game. Obviously, he goes to Florida State. So the things that he was able to do last night and during the season did not surprise me.
So things beyond the skill set, but leadership qualities and things like that that you saw. And
right away.
It bodes well, perhaps, for a pro career, but that will have to wait.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the pros are back at it because everybody wants to get to that championship game at the Meadowlands. And this weekend, some awfully interesting matchups, although home field advantage has not been that big a deal. Let's show you some stats here. As both 6 seeds, the Saints and the Chargers, they've advanced to the divisional playoffs for the fourth time in the last 9 seasons. But over that span, 5 and 6 seeds have actually had a better record than the 1 and 2 seeds in the divisional playoffs. That's a pretty big reversal from the first 15 seasons of the current playoff system. So, given the fact that home field advantage may not be a huge deal on this particular weekend, at least in recent history, let's take a look at the road quarterbacks. All right, let's start in the NFC. Drew Brees and the Saints, they're at Seattle. Colin Kaepernick and the Niners are at Carolina. Which of those 2 quarterbacks do you give a better chance of winning on the road this weekend?
I think they both have great experience, but I like the San Francisco 49ers in the fact that this team has improved, especially at the quarterback position, and Crabtree is back now. This is going to help Kaepernick. You saw against Green Bay, he made some plays down the stretch, not only with his legs but his arms, and this guy was a big player for him. When you think about Crabtree, targeted 13 times last week. He caught 8 balls for 125 yards. So I give San Francisco the ability to go in and beat Carolina.
It'd be tough for the Saints to win in Seattle. We'll see what happens there. Andrew Luck and the Colts at Foxborough. Phillip Rivers and the Chargers at the Broncos. Who has the best chance?
Right here, Phillip Rivers, and they have the blueprint of how to beat the Denver Broncos. They possessed the ball 38 minutes both times they played. Very good on third down offensively, 44% and 50%. Ran the ball the first time, 131 yards and 177 yards. So what they were able to do was really steal possessions away from Peyton Manning. Limit him to basically 10 possessions in 2 games. It's a 12-possession game. They get it. They play good defense. They're a hot football team. took the ball away from obviously Cincinnati. Quarterback didn't have to throw the ball only 16 times and ran the ball. So look out for our chance.
Wow, so you think they can win twice? Lightning will strike twice against the Broncos. I mean, when Manning was with Indianapolis, the Chargers knocked him out of the playoffs a couple times.
Chargers have that mojo going right now. Look out for those Chargers.
So says Herm Edwards. Thanks, Herm.
Thank you.
Well, ahead, Florida State claiming their third championship with a late comeback. Much more coverage and reaction coming your way on a brand new hour of SportsCenter. We'll take you live to Jimbo Fisher's new